Hello and welcome to Love It Film. My name is Jamie and thanks for tuning in again. This week we have a great guest. His name is Carlo Mendez. Now, if you were a fan of the new Dexter prequel series, Dexter Original Sin, you'd recognize Carlo straight away. He played Hector Estrada, and if you're a Dexter fan, you know Estrada, he ain't a good guy. Now, Carlo did a great job of playing a bad guy, and a really bad guy, and we're going to talk about that in the interview. And he's also done loads of other things. Last year he had a movie that's you can find anywhere like Amazon, Apple TV Plus, called Demise. This movie he starred in, fantastic thriller. Check that out as well. So without further ado, let's get into the interview. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. Is it pronounced Carlo or Carlos?
Okay, so my real name is Carlos, but my stage name is Carlo.
Oh, cool. Okay, makes sense.
For stage name purposes, yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, as I was saying there, I mean, no worries at all with the time. I'm just glad to have you on the show, man. I mean, I'm a huge Dexter fan, and seeing you in Original Sin coming in to be Hector Estrada, young, it was really, really cool, man. I mean, it was such a refreshing take after seeing all of Dexter to see something new. But before we get into all of that, I just want to talk to you a little bit, Carlo, about yourself as an actor. How did you choose acting as your path in life? How did you go down that route?
You know, good question. So I'm often conflicted on how I remember wanting to be an actor, but I remember being young and always wanting to go to the movies. I remember one of my sisters took me to the movies at a very young age, like I was like 5 or 6, and I just thought it was amazing that what they were doing up there, and it was just so cool. And I'm like, oh my God, that'd be cool to be up on this big screen. Part of it also is I used to get punished a lot when I was a kid, right? Because I was very, very rambunctious, whether it was in school or at home. So I'd get punished and I'd be sent to my room with nothing. You know, either I had to read a book or just my imagination. So I was always putting these imaginations like, oh, what if I did this, jumping off a building, running here, doing action, all this stuff. Is all I had to run by with my imagination. So as I got older and realized, oh, acting is a thing that you can do and you can, make it a living or whatever. And I remember trying it out for like a school play, and it was so exciting. I was like, oh, this is fun. This is different. But I was living in Miami because I was born here in LA, raised in Miami with Cuban parents. And I was always on the wrong side of the acting world there. There isn't much going on when it comes to that. So long story short, I was working dead-end jobs, and I decided, let me give acting a shot. So I packed my stuff up and drove out here to California, and I've been on and off doing it ever since. But I remember the first time I ever booked, a real job, I was so excited. I'm like, I'm in the training, and I'm like, this is it. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. It's a very tough industry to be a part of, let me tell you, because there's no guarantee for anything. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how connected you are. There's no guarantee. You just have to work hard, be great, be amazing, not give up, be resilient, have tough, thick skin, and just keep going until you achieve your dreams. But that's what I love about acting. It's so unpredictable. It's so good. It's so fresh, different. It's never the same, even though it's the same process every time.
Yeah, it's so interesting hearing you talk about it because, I mean, from an outside perspective, I mean, you see actors, I mean, you see the glamour of it and stuff, but I'd imagine, like, it is a very hard thing to be a part of, and it's filled with rejection, and lots of people starting out who want to do what you do, they don't really understand that till they go through it. I mean, would you have any advice for people starting out, just how to deal with, like, really wanting something and then maybe it not going your way, or...
Yeah, so some of the advice, that I would give would be, for one of the first things is you got to get a headshot going, get into acting class, but maybe actually like first acting class. And the reason why is because acting, so I don't want people to misconstrue this. Acting is a hard job. It's not the hardest job in the world. Because I'll hear some actors, when they're on podcasts and somebody says, oh, acting, it's a hard job. And somebody comes on and says, yeah, but working construction is harder. Yes, of course. Doing physical stuff is hard. There's no comparison here. Just all in all, acting's a very, very, and I've done construction. I can compare the two.
Me too, man. Me too.
Acting's harder. I still think acting's harder, but whatever. Physical stuff for me is easy. It's all perspective. But first things I would say is definitely, and I'll tell you why I believe it's harder. One of the first things is get into acting class, right? Because there you learn, you see, you become vulnerable. You have to get on stage. Let me tell you something. Well, I think the reason a lot of actors do say, and I agree with it, that acting is one of the hardest jobs out there, is because people don't like being vulnerable. People don't like going in front of other people and performing and crying and looking stupid. People don't like to do that. A lot of people have ego, especially men. They have ego where they don't want to, I don't want to show my soft side. I don't want to cry. I don't want to do this. I don't want to look silly, look stupid, or speak in front of a lot of people. That's hard. That's hard to do. Again, I'm not saying it's the hardest job in the world, but it's a hard thing to do to really be vulnerable. I mean, you just think some of your favorite actors, how vulnerable they are on stage or in film, and how stupid they look and do that. I'll give you an example. A Ryan Gosling in Barbie. How silly do you think he might have felt, playing that character or being that vulnerable? Easy thing to do. I did, I bartend at night and I work with, and I see people and all kinds of life. And a lot of people don't like being vulnerable. They don't like sharing their stuff. They don't like being intimate. They don't like, that kind of stuff makes them feel uncomfortable. So, but to digress the back a little bit, first things I would tell them to do is get into acting class because you learn a lot and you get on stage and you show. And that's where you're going to really see if you really love it or if you don't. And if you don't really love this industry, this acting, it's not for you. It's something that you just be like, all right, I'll try something else. But you have to really, really love it.
That's so interesting, Carlo. And I mean, speaking of that vulnerability that you talked about as like a man, with like say men not opening up to their emotions. I mean, you would have had to deal with that quite head on with, as I mentioned earlier, Dexter Original Sin playing Hector Estrada. Was it your first scene where it was the pool scene with Laura Moser, played by Brittany Allen, where it was very, very vulnerable? You guys, of course, weren't wearing clothes and you had to get into the pool and like talk. This very, very sort of scary scene as well. And how you played Hector was so interesting because you were sort of balancing this sort of nice charisma with this obviously very bad guy. How did you fall into this character and prepare for Hector Estrada? Was that a difficult thing to do?
You know what? It kind of was, and it was very scary. And I'll tell you why, because I haven't really played a character like this on film yet. Most of my filmography is either the good guy, the cop, the funny guy, but I haven't really played the bad guy. That was the first scene I shot. Even though I work out, being shirtless in a Speedo for me out in the open is very vulnerable. I don't care what anybody says. Even though I work out or whatever, it's like I'm still like, like, oh my God, I'm just wearing Speedos. I'm not used to that. But even just that alone is very vulnerable with a bunch of people on set. And Brittany had to be, pretty much naked the
Yeah.
entire time, so that she's very vulnerable as well. And that really can get to you. What I liked about this character, there wasn't a lot of research to do on this character because I looked back and the character, I believe, was played by Miguel Ferrer. He was only like in a couple of episodes, wasn't
Yeah.
very long, so there wasn't a lot of research to do. And then we're talking about like 30 years ago, and people change or whatever, and he was in jail for the last 30 years, if I remember correctly. So I just looked in, I just did other research of other characters and brought my own spin into it of how this guy Hector Estrada is. And the crazy thing is, I remember when they're like, the breakdown was, we need an actor who looks like this character. I look nothing like him, you
Yeah.
know? And I was like, oh man, like, and this is the thing, this is a beautiful thing about acting. You just never know. I'm like, I look nothing like this character. I'm sure there's gonna be somebody else, but you know what? I'm gonna give it my take, my spin anyways, throw caution to the wind. Oh well, if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. But I don't, and I really thought I had no chance of getting it. Then I booked it, and I was like, to my surprise, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then for the prequel and everything, I was so excited. I just brought my own little spin to it. He's a very, very calculated man he knows what he wants. He he um he's very scary without not needing a lot of stuff to be scary, if that makes sense. Just his mannerism, the way he is. He wants to be at the top of the food chain. He wants to build an empire. He's just very selfish, calm, greedy man he just like, don't screw him over. He'll give you the world, but don't screw him over, because if you do, he's gonna, take care of you and kill you or something like that. So it was very, very awesome to like play a character like that, and actually for people to see a different side of me that they haven't seen really.
And man, you did such a good job. It was fantastic. I mean, I was watching it there with my girlfriend, and we're big Dexter fans. I mean, we've seen all the original series. We saw the New Blood revival, and then when coming onto your stuff, we were like, "Oh, he is terrifying." I mean, and I've seen like your other stuff where you play the good guy or like the funny stuff in like that show you did, Real Rob or Rob Schneider, and you did just a great job. And it was so even scary wouldn't even be the word. It would be like uncomfortable on what this guy is thinking. What's he gonna do, And as a Dexter fan, I'd be curious to hear what it was like working on that show with like Clyde Phillips coming back, starring revival. Obviously, Patrick Gibson is the new Dexter. Were you guys showing like old material from the old show when in the production, or was this just a whole new creative thing, new type of?
So from my end, it was just more of a creative thing, because there wasn't a lot to go back on my character. So it was amazing to briefly meet Clyde, a lot of the cast members. It was and Patrick Gibson killed it. I mean, he did so good. Like he was
did,
just
he did Ireland proud as well. He's from where we're from here in Dublin. So we're like Dexter's Irish. We're like,
Yes. And he pulled off the accent amazing. And it's the first time I've ever seen him, act, Patrick Gibson. And I think he did a phenomenal job with the ticks, with the accent, and really capturing that essence of what Dexter is, or who Dexter is. He did an amazing, amazing job. I mean, my hat's off to him. And he's going to have a big, big, big career. But I just did a lot of research and watching, again, going back a lot of the episodes, just so I can get the feel, because it was a while ago, but I didn't want to really like be so connected to it, because this is the past. This is something even before Dexter. This is all before he became who he is. And even though my character is a catalyst of that shoots off Dexter to do what he does. So I was just doing really more dive work into, my character, who he is, the background, where he comes from, what he does, and not worry so much about what happens in the future, because obviously we already know, if you're a fan, what happens to my character in the future. So, but it was just great to like, just really just dive into something new and different and just sink my teeth into it. And I was just so over the moon to be part of the Dexter world. I was just so excited.
Yeah, and as I said, man, you did such a good job. It really is a blank canvas as well. Where even Hector in the original show, like he's old at that point as well. I mean, you can imagine that many years ago, as you were saying, completely different person. I just found it so interesting as a viewer. Now, as I mentioned too, Carlo, you worked alongside Rob Schneider in Real Rob on Netflix, and that was just so funny as well. What was that experience like? Was that hard to get through just because it was really funny when you were filming?
Oh my God, I had to hold it in so much. Let me tell you something about Rob Schneider. Rob Schneider is an amazing man, both as a director, because he directed it, as a writer, producer, and as an actor. Rob is really talented. I know a lot of people see him as just the funny, goofy guy, but he's actually a really, really good actor. I wish he would just tackle a little bit more of like the dramatic side of acting, so people can really see. I'm telling you, he's really, really good. I don't know if he'll do it, but we'll see. But he was just so wonderful. It was such a great experience to work on set with Rob Schneider. I think I was like in 4 or 5 episodes. I remember getting the audition, and I had no idea it was going to be with Rob Schneider. And I was running late because I was on set, I had another job. And I remember getting there, and I'm like, yeah, I'm here to see Rob. And they're like, oh yeah, Rob Schneider's coming in. I'm like, Rob Schneider's he's gonna be here. Oh shit, And I remember auditioning right there with him and his wife, and I was so nervous inside. I'm like, oh my God, this is Rob Schneider. But he just made me feel so good and so comfortable. And even the first day of shooting, I was really, really nervous. And he gave me pointers. He was so good. He's like, commit, go all the way, and all the little slapstick comedy stuff. And he was just so good. He's just so funny, so committed, so into it. And he took on every aspect. I mean, directing, producing, writing, everything. That's not easy to do. And it was a dream to work. And I that season 2, And there's been talk about doing a season 3, and I've been in touch with him on and off here. And yeah, and hopefully, if he does a season 3, it brings me back. But yeah, it was just amazing working with him.
I hope so too. I mean, it was just so funny. I love Rob Schneider, and you did a great job. As I said, it was just really, really funny. Last year too, you were in a movie called Demise, which is, if people don't know, is like on Amazon, Apple TV, the streaming things. You can watch it there. But that was really interesting thriller. What was that experience like?
So that was a very amazing experience too, that I worked with Yara. That was my first lead in a feature. That's where I at least I don't think, I hope I'm not wrong, where I kind of like realized, because I've always been scared to be the lead, right?
Yeah,
In whether it's a movie or a show, because it's a lot, and I'm like, as an actor, again, this is part of the where it's hard. It's like, are people gonna like me? Are they gonna think I'm a good enough actor? All these things go into the mind. I don't know if every other actor goes through this, but I'm like, am I gonna be good enough? Are people gonna like me? Am I gonna, are they gonna find me interesting enough? And all these things. I'm like, okay, I'd rather just be, the co-star or the guest star, or just not be the lead, because it's all on you. And that's where I first, being in that movie, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take on the lead and this and that. And that's where I realized, oh my God, I think I can pull it off. Like, at least me inside, I'm like, I think I can carry a film. I think if I work hard, and I'm interesting enough, and it's a good script, and I'm working with good people and good director, I think I can probably pull it off. And I got a lot of great compliments out of it. And even though I don't like watching myself on film, I watch myself on film, and I was like, oh, this is I can probably battle more for being the lead in certain projects, because it felt good. And that's the first time where I felt the confidence of, like, I can do this. I can be a force to reckon with in Hollywood. And but it was just really amazing in it. But also, I had a great team, with Yara and all the producers and everybody. And it was just great to work with everybody. It was a 15 shoot, or 17. I shot for 15 days to shoot a feature film, almost two
yeah,
hours long. It's not easy. It's
that's
not easy to
impressive.
pull it. Yeah, to pull it off, because you got long days, you got to be on point, you got to know. But again, that's and I my character, it was very vulnerable. He just broke down a lot, as you can see, and and it's a terrible thing what happened and what he did. But one of the things I really liked about Demise was my character wasn't gaslighting. He wasn't like, "Oh, you're crazy," to his wife and his girlfriend and stuff like that. He knows he messed up. He knows he did wrong, and he tries to make it better. But he's just caught in the middle of this unfortunate situation. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and it was really a great experience for being my first lead in a feature film.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't imagine the pressure of just being the lead on something. I mean, speaking of yourself, I could see you being the lead in maybe like a superhero project or something like that. You definitely have the physique for him, and I mean, you could you could do that. If you're a fan of Love of Film and you're watching us here on YouTube, please subscribe. I mean, it would really help us. I mean, if you like our stuff, we post reels all the time on Instagram, on TikTok, and please leave a review. Reviews do great for us. I mean, helps us make more of these videos on Apple Podcast reviews. That's where the magic happens. So if you have time and want to give your thoughts, it doesn't have to be positive too. If you don't like what I'm doing, you can write that down. You can get angry. Yeah, leave a review. If you're enjoying Love It Film over here, the show with me talking to these people about movie things, you can help us directly by signing up to our Patreon. The links are in the bio. I mean, hey, a little goes a long way. So if you want to do that, I really appreciate it. Would that be something you'd be interested in doing down the line? Like, I know there's the new DC universe with James Gunn. Would you do something like that?
I mean, 100%. That is the dream, to play, kind of like a superhero character, whatever it is, and something new that hasn't been introduced yet. That would be a dream, and I'm not gonna fake it till I make it, for the most part. Like, I still work at night, I still bartend at night. What I tell anybody out there, you just gotta work hard, work on your craft, specifically coming for this, but this goes in every aspect of life. Just, work hard, manifest, know it in your head, feel it in your heart, and be hopeful that today or tomorrow a great opportunity is coming and something great's gonna happen. And yeah, I mean, one of my dreams is to be in something of either a Marvel or DC. Now there's going to be a new DC universe if Superman does well in the theaters. So you never know, and there's so much up. As a matter of fact, now remembering, I just had a dream about being a superhero last night. That's crazy. Um, and it is a dream. But most importantly, I just want to be a great actor. I want to make this a career, and I want people to enjoy my performances. And whether they like it in the sense of like, oh, I like his character, or I hated his character, but he did an amazing job because he made me feel this emotion, or he made me feel that emotion, whether it's a good guy or a bad guy. I want to impact people, and I want to entertain. And one of my biggest heroes is Tom Cruise. I mean, that guy,
Yeah.
he does what he does with every part of his body and soul, and that's something I want to do as well. It's a but yeah, so it would be a dream to be in a collaboration with anybody, and that's that in
Of
that
course, man.
level.
And like you mentioned, like say someone looking up to like Tom Cruise. I mean, incredible actor, does all his own stuff. Is there anyone in your life, like even or an actor you looked up to, that really that inspired you to be an actor or helps you when you're going through your process?
Yeah, one of my favorite, besides Tom Cruise, was Harrison Ford. I remember one of the
Yeah,
first movies I saw was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and the
that's
Raiders
the
of
best one. That is the best one.
yeah, yeah. And oh, you think of the first
I
three? You
think so.
think that's the best
I
one?
think either Temple of Doom or Last Crusade. I mean, a lot of people say Raiders, but I love Temple of Doom.
I love Temple of Doom too. Raiders was good. I like okay, so if I had to go with that, I like Temple more than Raiders, but I like The Last Crusade better. And The Last Crusade, the reason I love it more is because it was more epic.
Yeah,
There
Sean
was
Connery as well.
Sean Connery. It was
Yeah,
more epic. There was a bigger, longer, much more bigger story than one man itself. But the Holy Grail of the Cup and this and that. And
yeah.
it was just an epic movie, and I love epic movies. Like a Braveheart and stuff like that. But Harrison Ford is one of the first actors I saw on screen, and then and that's in the '80s when he was like he was just boom to stardom, and I was like, and he became one of my favorite actors. In all the movies he's done, the action movies, Clear and Present Danger, Indiana Jones movies, Star Wars movies, all that stuff. So Harrison Ford definitely really wanted me, like, I want to be like him. I want to be an all American, amazing actor in Hollywood. So he's definitely was a big, big influence to me.
Me too. I mean, who doesn't love Harrison Ford? Now, Carlo, I assume as well you're doing a lot of these auditions and stuff. I mean, whether it be on Zoom or in person. I mean, do you have any thoughts on how auditions are going these days? As in, do you prefer doing a Zoom audition opposed to an in person one?
Ooh, that's a very good question too. Okay, so there's pros and cons. I tend to get really, really nervous in auditions. So when I do, I'm if I'm in person, I'm holding the paper does this. I'm like, I'm trying to stop. No matter how much I prepare, like if you over prepare, I think the only thing that's helped me in person is like, you know what, I just don't care. I'm gonna go in, I don't care if I get it, I get it. If I don't, and then half the time I'll book it when I just don't care because I'm not as nervous. But still, there's always a little bit of that nerve wracking. So in person, it's nerve wracking. Um, and any actor who's been through this knows that unless the casting director really sees something different in you or really believes in you, if you mess up once, there's a good chance you probably won't get it, and that's all. So in person, but also that's the cons. The pros is they feel your energy, they can adjust you, you can talk things out, you can figure things out. Like, well, the casting director, can you try it this way? And you try it that when you give, good direction, or you get, you get direction and you change it up. So there's that energy, there's that thing that you just in person that you get. So there's the pros and cons. Now to Zoom, the cons are you don't get that same energy in person. You don't get that same feel. So, but in Zoom, okay, so Zoom and self tapes. So Zoom, you're doing it this, you can have your lines on here, or you can even tape them up like some people do, and you can be reading them off. And and I booked Dexter off of self tape. So Zoom is a little tough too because you can lose the connection, a lot of things. So there's the cons of that. The pro is just you're not as nervous, you're more comfortable, you're at home. You're like, all right, I don't have to drive anywhere. I don't take an hour to get there. Parking, I don't have to worry about my car getting towed if I'm taking too long. Self tapes, because there's a bit of a difference between Zoom and self tapes. Self tapes, I do like, and that is the pros of that is you can do a million takes.
Yeah,
You
till
can
you
get
get it
in,
right, you can just keep
until you
going
get
and
it
going and
right.
going.
Yeah, keep going. And then you look back and you're like, oh, you know what, I can try this on my next tape, and then send in a couple of different takes and stuff like that. And you can, you have a lot of options, and you're not as nervous. You get a reader, stuff like that. The only thing is, again, they don't get that full energy. And sometimes I don't even know if they see all the self tapes.
Yeah.
You don't know. So it's got its pros and cons of what it is. I don't like Zoom so much of auditioning. If I had to choose, I'd rather either self tape or audition in person. The Zoom actually, like this, when you self tape, it's weird because like I can't really look at you, or I look
Yeah.
off,
Yeah.
but sometimes they want you to look at them. But is it there? Is it to you? It's a little off, but and then you need a reader. So it's weird because I've done Zoom where I've had a reader in person, which is better, but I've also had to do a Zoom where I had a reader in the Zoom, and then the
Right.
casting director looking, and it's weird, it's funky, it's tough, it really is, because that's not real, to when it comes to acting.
And they're only
So
getting
yeah,
like a small part of you as well. I mean, if you look at our cameras here, I mean, it's like this much of you, and like I mean, it
this
could
is
be at an
it.
angle and stuff. In person, you could look completely different. I mean, I'd
Yeah.
imagine all of these things go through your head with pressure and stuff. So I mean, hats off to you. I mean, I can't imagine how stressful that can be. Doing that all the time. If you,
Yeah.
this is going to be quite a difficult question to answer, okay? But if you could go back to yourself, back in time to yourself, to Carlo, who just started, he wants to be an actor. What advice would you say to him after being the lead in a feature now? You're in a huge show like Dexter. You've been worked with great people like Rob Schneider, getting all this information. If you could go back in time, what would you say to yourself right at the start?
Right at the start, I would tell myself, keep going, don't give up, don't take time off, and make it your number one priority. The thing is, with me, what happened is I moved out here and I had to get a job, and I was kind of lost in the beginning. And I took priority over working so that I can, pay my rent and put food on the table, over really just diving in and just be like, well, if I'm a few dollars short for rent, I'll deal with it, whatever. Sometimes I took priority over working odd jobs just so that I can pay rent, instead of really focusing on my acting like I've done the last few years. So it would be more just like, don't give yourself a time, because most actors are like, if I don't make it in 5 years, I'm just gonna do something else. And I kind of did that in the beginning. Then I'm like, oh, it hasn't happened yet. You know what? That's not the way it's supposed to happen. You're not supposed to give yourself time for something like this. It's gonna happen when it happens. So I just have to learn to trust myself, have faith, work hard, study, and really fall in love with the process and the journey of what this is, of this acting. Because again, like I keep saying, it's a very tough industry, and again, it's gotten tougher because where the industry's at, it's not the same as it was 15, 20 years ago. One thing I would have definitely told myself is go to California and get into acting right after high school. I would have told myself that. I'm like, graduate high school, get out to California and get into acting 20 years ago, 25 years ago. That's what I would have told myself. And I would have gone through what I had to go through. But yeah, just, work hard, have faith, keep, and have a hopeful heart that something great is going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And I respect you as an actor, man. I mean, the stuff you're in is, I mean, your acting is really, really good. You can tell you put a lot of effort into it, and you can tell you care about the characters you're playing. So keep doing what you're doing. I hope to see more flashbacks of Hector Estrada. Who knows? I know there was a season 2 of Dexter Original Sin coming out. So
Yeah.
who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, there's a season 2, and hopefully, if they do a season 2 and they do the flashbacks, it'll be awesome, because and then I'm guessing I'll be with, doing most of my scenes with Christian Slater, who's another,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan, who I grew up in the 80s watching all his movies. True Romance is one of my favorite movies of all time. He's amazing in it. Heathers and so on and so on. So if they do the flashbacks, because his character would be coming after me, because I get rid of Dexter's mom. So hopefully, it works out that way. We'll see. Hopefully it does. I haven't heard anything yet on my half, but I do know. But then again, I mean, now it's probably being written, pre-production, all that's gonna take
Exactly.
some time. Yeah, that
I
How that
hope
takes
so.
time.
I mean, I can imagine you with Christian. There'd be some great scenes, trying to track you down on the run, that type of
Oh
thing.
my God. Yeah. Yeah. That would be amazing. That'd be another dream come true. So hopefully it does. Because let me tell you, and for people out there really seeing this, uh, it's a really good show.
Yeah,
It really, really is. It's an easy one to watch because some shows get hard and difficult. Like, oh my God, what happened? It's an easy watch. The acting's phenomenal. It's got some great, great actors in it. Christian Slater, Sarah Michelle Gellar's in it.
fresh.
It yeah, it's fresh. It's an easy watch. It's so much fun to watch, and it keeps you guessing. And it's got some good surprises and twists and turns, and it really delves into the psyche of what this character is. And then Patrick, Patty, he brought it. But it's a fun show to watch, and it's very refreshing, and it's an easy watch. It's not very complicated. That people's attention span today is
Yeah.
not good. But yeah, it's a really, really good show, and I'm just so happy that I was a part of it, that they made it, and just to be even, to be in a small part of it, I'm just over the moon about it. And I pray that they do a season 2 and it goes through, and then I can be a part of it as well.
I hope so. And like for people to know as well, like you don't even have to do homework with it. I feel like if you've never seen any Dexter,
Nothing.
it's a true prequel. It's like its own story starting out. And
Yeah.
as a Dexter fan, I've been watching for years. And I mean, week by week as your show was coming out there, phenomenal. I love it. So I hope to see you come back for that. And of course, I want to be respectful of your time too, Carlo. Thanks so much for coming on to the show today. I mean, it genuinely was interesting for me hearing your story and the roles you take on and how to deal with these things as an actor. Because for people watching too, it's good to demystify it a little bit and see what it's really like.
Yeah.
Like I relate to you too. I've bartended before. I do other jobs too. It's chasing the dreams, man, and it's great to see you getting it.
Oh, thank you so much. And, just everybody out there, just work hard, go after your dreams. My 3 favorite words of this industry, and it can pertain to life, is you never know. You really never know. You got to be an optimistic person and always think you never know the best is coming, but you never know. Work hard, chase your dreams, because this is it. This is all we got. And what else are you going to do in life if you're not chasing your dreams? And if you work your regular job, that's fine too, but go after your dreams. I implore you, please, and just work hard and enjoy this journey of life. This is it. This is all we got.
Exactly. Carlo Mendez, thank you so much for coming on to the show, man. Been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it,
man.
You too. And please let me know anytime you want me to come on.
Oh, we'll have you back 100%. Hopefully season 2 of Dexter. I mean, we're putting it into the ether now, so we hope so. But either way, we'll have you back on 100%, man. Great conversation.
Thank you.
All right, well, have a good day, okay?
Thank you. All right.
See you, man.
Okay, bye.
Carlo Mendez, what a phenomenal guest. What an interesting dude. I love the way he is honest about his life. He's a successful actor. He's in Dexter Original Sin. Great show. Check that out. But also he bartends at nighttime. He's putting his dreams number one. And as a Dexter fan, I love that prequel with Patty Gibson, Michael C. Hall back as the voice of Dexter. I think he executive produced that show. Clyde Phillips, great show. Do check out Dexter Original Sin. Back on to Carlo, he was an honest guy talking about the life of an actor and just a nice guy too. And I couldn't thank him enough for coming on to the show. It was just genuinely meant something to me as an outsider, hearing what it's like, dealing with getting roles and auditioning. It just goes to show not everyone makes it straight away. You go through different loopholes and eventually you'll find your path like Carlo has. So yeah, it was just really, really interesting getting to talk to him. Now, folks, that is all the time we have here on Love It Film this week. Thank you again for tuning into the show. And next week, we will be back with another guest with more of these interesting conversations. So, without further ado, I'll leave it back to you. Have a good day.
Hi guys, my name is Chris and this is Love It Film. We're filmmakers and, well, we want to learn from the best. So tune in every Friday as we interview filmmakers, actors, directors, writers, you name it, anyone in the industry, because, well, we don't know how to make a film, but we want to find out how.
Mr. Miyagi trounces me and then my hand goes over the lights and turns it off, right? That's a really astute observation. And all this time, I never kind of put that together. Interesting.
Jamie, I'll just tell you, I'm here for a reason. I think that the way you're doing what you're doing, you're asking good questions. You're investing in the arts, the artistic process. You're trying to demystify it for your audience. And I think that all of that is excellent, and I'm very happy that I can be a part of what you're trying to accomplish.